Come the Guardians.
Yeah, I have statistics to back up that we have people that listen.
Mike Schaefer.
Anytime there's sort of a debate as to who can do something, Happer would always put his name forth, for sure.
Husker 24/7 on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
I could be a star.
Mike Schaefer of Husker 247 joins us now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone Hotline. Schaefer, good morning to you. What's going on?
Not a ton. Went to the first pumpkin patch of the season on Sunday. Discovered what I assume many people who have been there already know, but the cookies that are made at Vala's are like absolutely incredible. So that was nice to learn that when I'm at Vala's for the next however many years of my life, I can always count on paying for some very expensive but very high quality cookies.
Excellent.
Going forward to get me through pumpkin patch season.
What a great thing to learn. Yeah, so good day to go for it. And then you got the great pleasure of watching your Minnesota Vikings last night on Sunday Night Football. Did anything happen in that game?
No, I mean they played a team. They scored 6 points. At one point, it looked like it was only going to be field goals. And then Tyler Algier, who nobody needed for fantasy purposes, scored the only touchdown of the game. It was pretty terrible. I feel like this team should be sent to Europe for its games. And the good news is they will be here in a couple of weeks. They'll be in Europe and playing at 8:30 in the morning. It's more appropriate time for J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings, I think.
All right.
Certainly prime time, the first 2 games.
Yeah, it was tough. Full disclosure, I had a decision to make at halftime because I was pretty tired after a long weekend, and I was like, I think I'm going to go to bed. I think I've seen enough, and it turned out when I woke up this morning that I made the right choice.
Yeah, the peak of the game for Vikings fans was the very end of the first half when J.J. McCarthy is unbelievable at throwing exactly one pass to set up a long field goal for Will Reichert. Like they've got that down pat, but they should really try to focus on doing more, I think, in the rest of the 60 minutes. Not just in the final 15 seconds beforehand.
Do more good passes. We'll see if they
that would be my suggestion to Kevin O'Connell, who has won Coach of the Year and hasn't looked like it, previously these last 2 weeks.
He's got a bit of a task in front of him with the quarterback who's still learning, obviously, on the job. All right, Chafe, do you have but one take that you can muster from Saturday's football game?
One take.
I want one take.
Here's a take. We don't know which of Nebraska's wide receivers will be the best that it has in any given game, and that's a great thing for Nebraska and tough on defenses everywhere. Because they've had 3 games now, 3 different wide receivers, I believe, have led them in receiving, with Hunter in week 1, Barney in week 2, Key in week 3. All of them are high quality, and I think you could make a case for any as Nebraska's best wide receiver. How's that for a random take you were expecting?
I love it. I think if there's one thing that has been absolutely solidified that we kind of like thought going into the season, it's exactly that. This receiver group is definitively better than it was last year for a variety of different reasons, but most maybe importantly is the players are better. The players who are actually catching the balls are better.
Well, and the guys behind them are good too. I mean, that's the other thing that's kind of been fun to see. They have it feels like they have a lot of depth at the pass catching positions at wide receiver and tight end. And so that just, it makes it better. If there is an injury, which hopefully there's not, you at least feel better about Quinn Clark, Cortez Mills, Keelan Smith stepping into those kind of roles.
How far are you allowing yourself to go on the TJ Lateef conversation that has emerged over the last 2 weeks?
Well, there's no real conversation that matters because he's not going to be the starting quarterback. He's a very exciting backup quarterback. He seems like he's not going to redshirt, so he's available for Nebraska should Dillon get nicked up or should they want a specialty package. I don't know if they need to go that far down the rabbit hole, but more than anything, I am fascinated as to how Nebraska constructs its roster and allocates its resources as we get closer to transfer portal season, because you can bet that TJ Lateef will be tampered with. There's no question on that one.
No, not at all. But I agree with you. It's a conversation for next year. It's about why do you think people around here are so obsessed with quarterbacks who can add the running dynamic?
I will say, like, for a Nebraska team that has struggled to score when the field gets small, the simplicity of TJ Lateef just taking off for that scramble when everybody was covered is like the one thing that Dylan Raiola can't do that would make Nebraska's offense that much better. Like, it feels like Raiola is good in a way that we're not used to seeing around here at all. But his one drawback is that he can't do the thing that Nebraska fans are very familiar with their quarterbacks doing, which is just running and picking up easy yards right in front of them. So it's kind of like a wild thing that you have to sort of switch between these two. And so I think there's a natural gravitation towards what TJ Lateef has shown.
A little difficulty over the last couple weeks here because of the quality of opponents that you've played. But how do you feel about Nebraska going into this Michigan game defensively and how they might hold up against a much different talent level of an offense and a team and a much different kind of team in terms of the way that they want to get their yards as well? How do you feel about the Huskers on defense?
Yeah, I'm excited for this cat and mouse game between Michigan's offensive coordinator and John Butler for how they want to do things. I mean, is Michigan just going to try to say, here it is, try and stop it with the running game? Is Nebraska going to allocate or do things different defensively to try to load up in the box and dare Bryce Underwood to beat their coverage, which Nebraska still hasn't allowed over 100 yards passing in a game this season, which is remarkable, even in the non-conference, even against bad teams. So I am really, really curious if they're going to put defensive backs on an island and commit to more guys in the box. If they're going to try to provide a press coverage and really sort of pressure that way. If they're going to try to bring exotic blitz packages when it is an obvious passing situation. And so much of this game is ultimately going to come down to John Butler versus Bryce Underwood. And then maybe the X factor in this whole contest is, do they get Bryce Underwood having to feel like he has to run for Michigan to have a chance? Because on one hand, we saw Brendan Sorsby was able to hurt Nebraska that way. On the other, it's really hard to be a running quarterback, and you have to have like a massive gain. Otherwise, picking up 6 yards here, 5 yards there, that's nice, but that's a win if you're weighing that against passing down the field. So it's going to be a really fascinating contest as to how that plays out. And really, can Nebraska's front seven do enough against the run to force the rest of this to play out in the passing game?
Yeah, if there's one thing too, that's got some confirmation in the early going of this season, that defensive backfield. I mean, I know what they've seen and it's and how the teams have played against them, but I mean, you have to feel pretty good even going into a game where the talent level is going to go up a little bit across the field about Nebraska's ability to cover on defense.
And I understand that it's not like Cincinnati played great teams each of the 2 weeks after they played Nebraska, but look at the numbers Brendan Sorsby has put up when he's not going against this defensive backfield. And that's a veteran quarterback, not a guy making his fourth career start like Underwood. And sure, Michigan might have some more wide receiver talent than Cincinnati, but it's not significantly better. So it's not like Michigan's bringing in this passing attack that is set up so well that it should just shred Nebraska's secondary. So it really comes down to, if Michigan is forced to throw the ball, can Nebraska win, get them off the field, force turnovers, force havoc, and set things up? I mean, it feels like that's the biggest strength Nebraska has in this game, and they need it to play out that way on Saturday.
All right, Schaefer, did you stay up all the way through the Crawford fight on Saturday?
Yeah, there's no way that I was missing any part of that, especially with how he came out opposite of what we've seen in almost every other Crawford fight. And he was the aggressor and really kind of took it to Canelo Alvarez there. And, like everybody else, I'm horrified by the scoring from the boxing judges, but I'm glad that they ultimately got it right. Because if that was a split decision, or God forbid, they would have awarded Canelo that fight, I cannot imagine the damage that would have done to the sport. it felt like a respect thing that they didn't have the margin bigger than it was. But Crawford thoroughly dominated that.
Yeah.
Other than maybe 3-4 rounds at most.
Yeah, he was in control the whole way. It's hard to I feel like I very rarely have watched him where it doesn't feel like he's in control. That I feel like that's happened only like 2 or 3 times ever.
The thing that's always been fascinating about Crawford is he'll spend the first 3 rounds letting his opponent show his cards, and then he'll devise his strategies in the 4th, 5th, 6th round, and usually has the fight over by the 7th, 8th round because he's just smarter than the people that he's going against. And here you get Alvarez, where an unbelievable fighter with a great track record and a ton of power, and you're having to go up weight classes. And so he changes his entire style to basically just, I'm going to go after him. He actually had a quote 2 days before the fight where he says in there, I'm going to do things differently than I've ever done. And then he went out and did it. And it's like, he called his shot. It's truly remarkable what Bud Crawford did. It won't get the credit that it probably deserves, and it'll be diminished because it'll be Alvarez wasn't in his heyday and he didn't need to fight. He already got all the money. But what Bud accomplished on Saturday is absolutely unbelievable, and even more so when you think about how easy he made it look.
No doubt.
When it absolutely wasn't.
No, it wasn't. But he always comes through for us at whether it's a late night or a later night, as it was on Saturday night. Schaefer, we'll let you go. Thanks as always, and enjoy the week.
All right, Connor. Thanks for having me on. We'll catch you next Monday.
Mike Schaefer, Husker 247. So I told Schaefer this morning, I said, probably just go 11. He's like, that sounds awesome. Works great for me, except today I'm going to be in the car. And I was like, you know what? We could deal with it. We'll be okay. I thought he was good. We've had guests with worse delays, that's for sure.
Yeah, he in full disclosure, he asked me on the front end. He's like, "Yeah, how's it sound?"
Schaefer has radio brain.
And I said, "It sounds like you're in the car."
Schaefer is a radio man, so he cares about how it sounds. On some people are just like, "Yeah, you know what? You're having me on the show. You know, you're going to get what you're going to get." Schaefer cares about this stuff. That's why we like Mike Schaefer.
That's right.
And his radio brain. And it gives us a little bit of time to get what you guys thought from over the weekend. So we got a few minutes here. 402-951-1620. Matt Rule will have his Monday press conference at the bottom of the hour. So we'll have a few minutes on the other side to get some thoughts, some stray thoughts from over the weekend, whether it be football related or boxing related or whatever else you'd like to talk about. I witnessed several volleyball games this weekend, Josh. Many volleyball games.
I saw the inside of a van in the rolling hills of Kansas.
Rolling hills, huh?
Yeah.
Is that what they call those?
That's what they call them. I don't know why.
I think there's many hills in Kansas, Josh.
Yeah.
They don't roll.
There were not.
The only thing that rolls is that van.
We were rolling right along
for several hours.
So many hours.
All right, we'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone.